Hey y'all, welcome to another blind community chat. My name is Cindy, in case you are new here, and I am going to just give a little brief introduction to the channel and what I've got planned for today, and then hopefully see if anybody will join me today because I did not schedule, once again, I did not schedule this live stream, so it's a little spontaneous. In fact, I kind of sent out a message saying I might cancel it because I've had a bad couple of days, and I wasn't sure if I was going to do the live or not. But I'm here. I'm showing up, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just make a live about it because it's part of life. Everyone has bad days. I'm sure y'all can relate. So let's talk about it. So my name is Cindy. Welcome to Seeing Blind. I love sharing tips, hacks, tricks, and products on this channel, as well as blind community chats. I love doing blind community chats to help represent the diversity within our community and the disability community in general. I'm hoping to start having some guests join me for these blind community chats here soon. So definitely hit the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to snag that notification bell as well so that you can catch the notifications when I go live, and that way you can join the actual live feed and participate in the live chats. Otherwise, catch the replays, my friends. They're always posted there. I have a playlist that's constantly being updated with new blind community chats so that you can kind of catch the conversations that you can relate to and want to participate in. So you can always drop a comment down in the description box down below. Last time we had a blind community chat, I actually read some of the comments from the previous stream so that we could incorporate those comments into the current live stream. So your comments could still be featured. You're welcome to request any topics, ask any questions, anything like that in the comment section, and we will certainly address those on the next go round. So, my friends, I'm going to give a few minutes for the notifications to go out and for friends to join me here on the live chat. If you have already joined, please put a comment section in the chat box over there, and hopefully we can see where today's discussion goes. It's going to be a bit open-ended. I'm not going to dive too deep today because, pardon my language, y'all, but it's just, I just got off TikTok and it was a shit show. It was a total shit show. I'm having a shit day. I'm having a couple of shit days. And so I don't want to go into too much specifics on it, but I'll just briefly just talk about why and see if anybody else out there can relate. And what is it that just utterly ruins your days and is a challenge for you to overcome and find your positivity and to move past and move forward. So yeah, that's where we're going with today. I'm going to go over here, check out the live chat and see if anybody is joining me. Let's see. So far, I'm not sure. I can't tell. I've got to figure out, my friends, ahead of time how to get all this stuff figured out ahead of time. So I got my motor oil with me for this stream, y'all. Pardon me. I try to be a bit professional for these lives and get all my coffee and snacks in before we go live. But this time around, this day, I'm telling you, it's just a bad day. It might be a shit show too for this live stream too. And hey, now you just get to see the bad with the good, right? You get to get it all. But this, I call it my motor oil. I gotta drink my motor oil. It's my coffee. I drink it way into the deep into the PM. I am a caffeine addict for sure. So, how is y'all's week going? Because I hope it's truly better than mine. My week has been, and it's not that like anything terrible or like, I mean, life could certainly be worse, my friends. I don't want to complain by any means. It's not like anything devastating. It's, oh my God, I always have to to help keep things in perspective, I have to remind myself that, thank the good Lord, I don't live in Ukraine and I'm not having to deal with a war in my backyard. So that keeps definitely keeps life in perspective. I saw this terrible news story this morning about how Russia bombed a children's hospital, yeah, and a maternity ward. And there's like they were talking about these images of this pregnant woman, trying to escape this building on fire, and she was clearly pregnant and struggling. And obviously, if she was in a maternity ward or a hospital, it's not like a um, healthy pregnancy, or she's like in labor or something. I don't know, but anyway, that really just didn't make me. It's like it should have made me feel better because that's at least I'm not in that boat. But at the same time, I'm like, oh God, that's just even more depressing. Okay, so I am gonna log on to my other device here and um, see if I can get the comment section up. Is anybody with me? Let's see. Okay, this might be a short stream, my friends. Oh, Paul, you're with me. Hey, my friend, I can always count on you to show up. Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate you showing up today because, like I said, this is going to be one of those streams where I just might spill my guts and pray somebody can, I don't know, if not lift me up, maybe it will help them help someone by realizing they're not the only ones that experience this kind of stuff. You remember gratitude. Yeah. 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 It's ironic that you say that, Paul, because so here's my thing. That's right. And that's what I try to do. Always count your blessings. You're so right. You're so right. And while, you know what, I think it is completely healthy and normal, and it should be acceptable to say that, well, yes, my situation, it's not terrible. There's nothing that's so devastating that that it's not the end of the world, you know. And a lot of people have it a lot worse. I mean, there's people a lot worse off than me everywhere, every day. But with that being said, still, it is normal and natural to still have your own personal bad day, and to give yourself and allow yourself to feel that and honor it and respect it and acknowledge it, and know that if you need to just stay in that funk that day, like nothing, that and nothing is bringing you out of that funk, that's okay. That's just where your mental and emotional head is at, and it's just not your day, and that's okay. It's not. It doesn't. You don't want to belittle it by. Sometimes it's kind of frustrating when everyone is like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't feel that way because everyone has it." There's people out there a lot worse off than you, and I'm like, "Oh, well, yes," and I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I'm feeling this right now, and it's valid, and it's okay, and that's where I'm at. And it's not about playing the one-upman game. You know what I mean? And so sometimes when people are having a bad day, and if they are being receptive to being cheered up, then great. But if they're not, that's okay. That should be okay, and it should be acceptable. And it's not that they are um being selfish or blind to, pardon the pun, to the terrible things going on around the world. I'm very aware of what's going on around the world. But but you know, I'm in my shoes right now, and in my shoes right now, I just feel like I'm having a shit day. And I'm allowed to have a shit day. We're all allowed to have a shit day. So that's where I'm at, my friends. Yeah, yeah. And I totally agree. I think it's important that on my channel, this is something that I've said in a few videos, that while I try to cover the difficult some difficult conversations and controversial things, I don't go too political or anything like that. But you know, I've posted a few things that are you know, just thought provoking, controversial. You know, it could go one way or the other. There's no wrong or right way about it, but it's just food for thought, you know, something to reflect on in your own life. And I have talked about feeling like a burden. I've talked about feeling like the vulnerable places that we constantly find ourselves in because we're constantly asking for help, and the difficulty it is to live life that in that space of feeling like you are constantly having to ask for help and depend. And yeah, yes. And so, sorry about that, y'all. So, in and so I post a lot of positive things on my channel, but I think it's important to also honor and recognize the negative things too. Like on a lot of channels, you'll see only the good stuff. You'll only see their house when it's clean. You'll only see their kids when they're behaving well and being cute. You'll only see, you know, their disabled life when it's all going well and they've got it all figured out. And I don't want my channel to be only that. I do want you guys to kind of see that I have bad days too, and I still cry, and it's still a struggle. And I want everyone to see that it's seeing blind is not all about having it figured out, because I don't have it all figured out. And I love to share the things that I do figure out, and I love to hear it when you guys figure things out, because I want to learn and grow just like the rest of us. But we're allowed to have bad days, and it's part of it. And I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Okay, let's see what y'all's comments are. 12:40 p.m. Round B. Whether one person sees this or 100 catch will see it. It's so helpful and worthwhile because, like you said, someone can benefit. Someone might be looking for this. 12:41 p.m. Round B. Just because someone's situation might be worse than yours doesn't make yours less valid. That's right. That's right. That's totally right. Everyone's feelings and emotions are valid, and it's like there's a lot of difficult stuff going on around the world. But it doesn't matter if you've been disabled for a day or 50 years. You're still going to have these moments. You're still going to have these days, and they're totally valid. And just honor it because it's part of the process of life and moving forward and becoming bigger, better, and a stronger person for it. So I kind of get frustrated when people are like, and I love this because I was trying to figure out, I've been having some issues with my kids and just emotional regulations and such. And I saw this one TikTok, and she was talking about how, like, you know, a lot of people, when their kids are having a tantrum or they're being bad or they're upset over something that's irrational, and you're like, just listen to me and get over it. And it's like you get so frustrated because they are just holding on to this, you know, this emotion with all of their might, and it's just causing major problems, and they can't emotionally regulate. And then they're like, and this person on this TikTok was like, you know, stop trying to get them out of it, stop trying to distract them, and just sit with them in that feeling. If they're crying and they can't let something go because it means that much to them, then honor it and sit with them and help teach them what it takes for them to move through it, not for you to push them through it, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like, you know what? Oh my God, that's what I need to do for myself too. I need to stop making myself feel better when I'm not ready to feel better. because I feel like I'm supposed to feel better, that doesn't mean that I should feel better. And so I think a lot of people do that when it comes to disabled life. When they get past the grief process, when they get past the loss of it and the emotional part of it, and they begin to gain control of their life and function again and learn all the tips and tricks and the things that work for them, and yet they still have a bad day, or they feel like, oh, I'm being a little too dependent, I need to figure out how do I be more independent. And it's like when those bad days come, it's like they don't allow themselves to have those bad days anymore because they feel like, I'm not allowed to anymore. Oh, if I show weakness, then people will think I can't do this anymore, um, or that, I'm not capable. And it's like it's like it becomes counterintuitive, and like we're not allowed to have that space. And that's kind of what I've been struggling and coming to terms with here lately, that you know what, I am allowed to feel this way. I am allowed to have independence fatigue, like we've been discussing. I am allowed to have a break. I am allowed to cry, and I am allowed to have a shit day, and that's okay. Amen, right? Let's see what your comments are.
12:40 p.m. Round B. Whether one person sees this or 100 catch will see it. It's so helpful and worthwhile because, like you said, someone can benefit. Someone might be looking for this exact video. 12:41 p.m. Round B. Just because someone's situation might be worse than yours doesn't make yours less valid.
Yeah.
12:44 p.m. Round B. This could be someone's safe day, so it's really important and helpful for you to say these things out loud, whether they do or not. So thank you, Smiley.
Oh, thank you. That really means a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's just this is real. This is life. Blind Community Chat is about true, honest representation. It's not, I don't want to be the only one up here, and I won't be the only one up here. I am going to have guests here soon because I don't want Seeing Blind to only be my experiences and how I function as a blind mom and yada, 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 because part of my issue is that there's not enough exposure to the vast diversity of the issues and capabilities and limitations and accessibility struggles and such of the disabled community, and specifically the blind community. And so I want to have full representation on Seeing Blind. I want everyone to find something, somewhere, someone on this channel that they can relate to and say, yes, I get you. And it may not always be me. It could be a guest of mine. And so that's why, but I want to make sure too that in my, as this being my channel, I also want to make sure I am true and authentic to myself and to you guys to show that I've got the bad stuff too. We all do.
12:44 p.m. Round B. This could be someone's safe day, so it's really important and helpful. 12:46 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. Cindy, I am a good listener. You can call me on Messenger.
Aw, thanks, Paul. I really appreciate that.
12:46 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. Cindy, I am a good listener. You can call me on Messenger. 12:47 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. It's okay to feel this way.
Yeah.
12:48 p.m. I experienced my childhood with a blind grandma, and I can tell you it was a kid, it's much easier, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Page 2 of 2. 12:47 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. It's okay to feel this way. 12:48 p.m. 12:49 p.m. Waving hand. Grinning face with big eyes.
Hey, I'm waving right back at you.
12:48 p.m. I experienced my childhood with a blind grandma, and I can tell you it was a kid, it's much easier, so don't worry. 12:49 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. I usually check out and take a break when I feel this way.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of do have to check out. And I'm going to tell you all, so I'll tell you all a little bit about what's going on in just a second and why it's hard to check out, though, in my situation right now.
12:50 p.m. Getting involved in self-helping GLs helps a lot.
Getting involved in what?
12:50 p.m. Getting involved in self-helping GLs helps a lot.
Self-help. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of self-care. This is, in a way, is my self-care.
Getting involved in self-helping GLs helps a lot.
So that's one thing that Seeing Blind does for me. It kind of has become, in many ways, my therapy, and I've met a lot of awesome, wonderful people. So, so one of the things, though, that has really been struggling, that I've been struggling with here is the toll on relationships that our disabilities have, and how the weaknesses that are yours due to your disability, while everyone has their hearts in the right place and good intentions and such, after years and years and years, it still wears down our relationships. and tolerances become stretched and thin, and there's not a lot of forgiveness and compassion anymore. So, relationships just, it's like our weaknesses are kind of used to tear the relationship down, and not purposefully so, but it's like after years and years of the same struggles, they suffer too. And that's just where I'm at right now. Um, and so it's like I feel like I can't check out, because when this happens, I feel like I have to work harder on maintaining my relationships in my life. And no matter who it's with, we've all lost friends due to our disabilities. Like everyone kind of has that story and experience where, a friend has kind of either ghosted or after so many years grown distant, because they just, the drain or the constant asking for help or what have you. The balance of the relationship just isn't there enough for them to stick with you. And this is like that, only much deeper and much more personal. So I'm just really kind of struggling to manage relationships right now. It's like, yes, do I want to break? Yes. But if I take a break, then they'll deteriorate even more. So just, it's so complicated, y'all. It is so, so complicated. But anyway.
12:49 p.m. Pause line soup for the soul. I usually check out and take a break when I feel this way. Page 3 of 3. 12:51 p.m. Self-helping group. 12:52 p.m. I don't know the English word. 12:51 p.m. Self-helping group.
Okay, self-helping group. So I take it English must be like a second language or something. But that's an adequate term, self-help group. We call them support groups. So yes, support groups are great for this, for sure. I don't like to share a whole lot of like the actual personal stuff, because that's personal. I usually do. I do have boundaries, and so I don't like to post too much of personal stuff. Like you'll never see pictures of my kids or me mention my kids' names and such, or my family, for that reason. But the support groups, yes, are fantastic. Facebook has hundreds of them. I feel like I can do a search every day on Facebook for some sort of, blindness, visually impaired type of focus group on Facebook, and every day I'll find a new one. There's just lots of them out there, some big, some small, and I remember in the very beginning, I would not necessarily join the small ones because I'm like, oh, it's small, it's not very active, it's not going to do much for me, it's not quite what I'm looking for. And so I would try to just target the larger ones. And I've learned that that's not really the best way to approach the support groups, because sometimes the small ones are the ones where you end up developing the more personal relationships and friendships that can really help you through what it is you're going through. So I always tell everybody, like, if you see a support group that looks like it's what you're looking for, don't focus on how many members or how active it is. If it looks like someone has posted something within, say, the past year, then it's valid. It's a valid group, and don't focus on the number of how many participants, because even the smaller ones can really um, serve you in a very meaningful way. So that's that little tip.
12:53 p.m. Round B. Support groups. Although there's a really much around me in the UK for parents with vision loss specifically, and not much even for people under the age of 60, online support has been amazing.
Yeah. Where are you from?
12:53 p.m. Round B. Support groups. Although there's a really much around me in the UK for parents with vision loss specifically, and not much even for people under the age of 60, online support has been amazing.
Yeah, tell me where you're from. I'm curious. Like where in the UK? And you say there's not a lot of support group for parents with vision loss. You're right about that. That's kind of true everywhere. When, as of like a couple years ago, there weren't really a whole lot of face groups either. But there are quite a few now that are like for blind moms or visually impaired moms or parents with sight loss. Um, there are a bit more now than there used to be, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I created Seeing Blind is because I was looking on YouTube for resources as a blind mom, and I didn't see any. I couldn't find any that were substantive, that were active channels, that were, um, posting content at least once a month or so, or regularly enough that I could feel like, there was a community there that I could relate to and benefit from and gain value from. And so, because of that, that's why I created Seeing Blind, because I felt like there weren't a lot of parents and there weren't a lot of, like you said, under 60, but but like older than a teenager. And so there weren't a lot of content creators of that demographic. So that's thus Seeing Blind came about. And I try to post on parenting as well as just general sight loss tips, tricks, independent living, you know, all that jazz. So, because, those are the things that I love to benefit from others and you guys as well.
12:53 p.m. Page 404. 12:59 p.m. Reddit Invitational.
Let's see.
12:57 p.m. I am from Germany if you need me.
Oh, Germany. Okay.
12:53 p.m. Round B. Support groups. Although there's really much around me and you. 12:54 p.m. Being December makes it very easy to choose between friends and just people you met in life. Don't worry, my heart.
Well, thank you.
12:56 p.m. Don't care too much. It's all about sharing your story and learning from others how to conquer things. We are all in this boat. 12:57 p.m. I am active in program and I met a lot of wonderful people that help me a lot accepting my disability.
Oh, good.
Voiceover off.
Community is a vital tool to acceptance, and because it's kind of like it has to be normalized for us to truly accept it, I think. And sometimes it's a struggle to normalize it in our head when we're constantly surrounded by people who can't relate and it's not normal. It's kind of harder to get over that hump. But when you find your community and people you can relate to on that level, it then becomes a lot easier to not care so much what the general public feels, and you find your own personal inner acceptance a lot easier and faster with community. Did I turn my screen reader off?
Voiceover on. YouTube. Video player. Heading.
Okay.
Landscape. 12:57 p.m. I am active in program and I met a lot of wonderful people that help me a lot accepting my disability. 12:57 p.m. I am from Germany if you need me.
By the way, I've been to Germany. I love Germany. My great grandmother, her maiden name was Brussels because she was originally from Brussels. And on my honeymoon, we ended up going through there and other places through in Germany. Then we went into we toured like 11 countries, and we ended up having to fly through Germany quite a few times anyway. There's some beautiful places there.
12:57 p.m. I am from Germany if you need me. 12:58 p.m. Program has support for parents with vision loss.
Oh, cool.
12:59 p.m. Reddit Invitational. 12:59 p.m. Round B. I'm from Lincoln in the UK. New subscriber and this is the first live chat I managed to catch. There's so many groups for people with blind children. We want to connect with more blind parents.
Oh, awesome. Welcome. If this is your first blind community chat, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining.
12:58 p.m. Program has support for parents with vision loss. 12:59 p.m. Round B. I'm from Lincoln in the UK. New subscriber and this is the first live chat I managed to catch. There's so many groups for people with blind children. We want to connect with more blind parents.
Yes, there's a lot more than people think that have children with retinal conditions and sight loss at young ages. And there's also more and more parents that have, sighted children, but they themselves are visually impaired and on the spectrum of blindness. And so as naturally as our culture and societies grow in population, the prevalence is, of course, is going to increase just consistently with the population increase. And so, but also as I think as technology and medical advances are made, from year to year to year, people are becoming more comfortable being a parent with a disability. I know I had posted a few TikToks ago on how it was a struggle trying to figure out, okay, I want to be a mom, but should I be a mom? Can I be a good mom being blind? I had no examples. I didn't know any other visually impaired parents. And while I truly thought I could, I just didn't know. I had, heard the horror stories of CPS, which is Child Protective Services, taking children away from parents with disabilities because they felt like they did not have adequate enough skills to care for the children. And I just did not, I didn't, I just, I battled. And I also knew that I was also thinking, okay, do I want to have children knowing that they have a pretty high percentage of inheriting my disability? And so do I want to have children knowing and watching them go through the same struggles as me and being blind? And so these are all very real and difficult discussions that everyone kind of has their own personal journey with and comes to their own conclusions with. But I think as our society has become more educated and our culture has progressed with technology, medical advances, and uh, just the overall general population has become more educated on our capabilities of being parents despite being disabled. um, More and more young people are comfortable having children despite being disabled. And so I think because of that, numbers are also going to increase due to that as well. And so, yes, finding our peoples, finding our community, and uniting is golden. It is worth its weight in air in gold and everything vital in life, because it can really get you through the hard times. It can really help navigate the difficult situations and finding things that work, new products, recommendations, healthcare professionals, and just professional advice. You name it. I mean, it's really really important. So welcome if this is your first blind community chat, my friend. There's been a lot of these so far, so you're welcome to go back through the playlist and see if anything else jumps out at you, other discussions and such. You might have to fast forward a bit through some of the first couple of minutes of them, because it kind of takes us a while to get to the meat of the conversation. But there's a lot of really good ones, so hopefully you can find some more that you find value in.
12:59 p.m. Rally B. I'm from Lincoln in the UK. New subscriber and this is the first 1 p.m. Acceptance is the first step to heal.
Acceptance is the first step to healing. And it's not anything that happens overnight. Everyone has their own pace and their own path. And so it's not going to look the same for everybody. So don't think that it happens overnight. Don't think that because someone else did it in a couple of years and is it this just healthy, like respectable, place in life, and they're just able to do all this really cool stuff. Don't think that's what that should be a reflection of where you should be. We all kind of have our own hiccups and struggles to bear and to heal. And acceptance is a big big pill with a lot of facets, and it's extremely complicated. And you'll find that while 1 year, yep, I've accepted, I've got a handle on this, yep, and then something will come and knock you on your butt again. And then you have to go through this acceptance process all over again. So it's like you'll find yourself in these different stages and phases, and then you'll get through them only to find yourself right back there at square one years later down the road. And it of course everything does get easier. I just don't want people to think that, oh, once you're past something, it doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily come back into play again.
1 p.m. Then you can look forward again. 1:01 p.m. Paul's blind soup for the soul. If the relationship does not understand or support you, it is not meant for you. For your highest good, Cindy, you are no good to the relationship if you're trained.
I hear you on that, Paul. I hear you, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're still a team, right? So,
Page 5 of 5. 1:04 p.m. Can you please tell us again what disability you take? Starter?
I do have Stargardt's disease. Yes, I have Stargardt's, and I started losing my vision at age 5. I was legally blind by age 11 or so, and I kind of, was plateaued. I was kind of stabilized around the 20 over 400 range through my teens and early 20s, and then in my 30s, though, I had another big uh, loss in vision again in my 30s. So now I'm, you know, a cane user now, and I see a lot less than I used to. Um,
1:04 p.m. Round B. Hopefully this chat has been helpful and you're feeling a bit better. Sometimes it helps to just say it out loud, even if it's only a slight relief. Every little helps.
that's right. That's right. You're so right. Yes.
1:04 p.m. Round B. Hopefully this chat has been helpful and you're feeling a bit. 1:04 p.m. Round B. Completely agree. Exposure can only be a good thing. Social media is a blessing and a curse in so many ways.
You're so right. Social media is a blessing and a curse. And exposure, though, that's, I do feel like some exposure is better than no exposure, but still, it's my goal to expose as many as I can to help educate, promote awareness, and promote positive change. That's my overall goal for this channel. And if while benefiting my fellow blind community, I'm really hoping that I can help sighted supporters and the general population, though, understand um, as well, how they can assist, the right and wrong ways to assist, and what they can do to make life more inclusive and equal. So um, you are so right, though, in that it can be a curse just as much of a blessing.
1:05 p.m. Red heart. Red heart.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Page
Thanks
25.
for the love.
1:04 p.m. Round B. Completely agree. Exposure can only be a good thing. Social media is a 1:08 p.m. Me too. I am suffering until 21.
Yeah.
1:08 p.m. There are not bitches. 1:08 p.m. Nice to meet you.
It is so nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for chatting with me
1:08
today.
p.m. Nice to meet you. 1:08 p.m. Nice to meet you.
Ah,
1:09 p.m. If you like castanets.
if I like what?
Page 5 of 5. 1:09 p.m. Round B. I hope you don't mind talking about it. Were you told that your symptoms were going to get worse one day before you HST decline in your 30s? I was told by one person, but I'm really not sure.
Do you have Stargardt's disease?
1:09 p.m. Round B. I hope you don't mind talking about it. Were you told that your symptoms were going to get worse one day before you HST decline in your 30s? I was told by one person, but I'm really not sure.
So, this is going to open up a can of worms, my friend. So, one of my pet peeves, I was actually going to do a TikTok about this today, ironically. So, yes, most of the eye doctors, optometrists, low vision specialists here in the States, most of them will all tell you regarding Stargardt's disease patients that if you have Stargardt's, they will say at some point you will experience your eyes will stabilize, and they will use the word stabilize. And I have come to hate the word stabilize. I do not like the word stabilize. I do not think it is an adequate or appropriate word to give to someone with Stargardt's disease.
Page 5 of 5. 1:10 p.m. Round B. Yes, Stargardt's.
So, so it's complicated. So, okay, doctors will say, yes, you will experience times where you will stabilize, or I guess you could use the word plateau. And well, yes, I did experience that through my 20s when I was about 20 over 400 or so. I thought that I would not experience any more loss after that. I thought once you stabilized. That's what that word means. That means it's not going to progress, or if it does, it not of any significant amount. And those a lot of Stargardt's patients probably do experience that, and that might be, the perceived norm. I still don't think that it should be used universally for all Stargardt's patients because it is not the case. It is not the case, and it really set me up for a major kick to the butt in my 30s. Now, I was becoming a new mom at this time, so a lot of the issues I was experiencing, I was not able to deal with mentally and emotionally because I was a new mom. And as a new mom, I was I was caring for my kids and not myself. And so, but looking back over the last couple of years, I really started to get just so angry because I felt like I was deceived, felt like I was set up for this false security in that, okay, now that I've plateaued, not much else is going to change. And that's not the case. So they will use the word stabilize in a medical frame only, in that if you look at the back of the eye specifically, medically speaking, there's not a lot of changing. Here's the caveat. They cannot predict environmental factors. They cannot predict aging and your diet. Those are three things that I have noticed on my journey that do impact my Stargardt's disease more than anything. And they did not speak enough on that and put enough weight on that and how that will impact the word stabilize. And so, sunlight and aging, um, environmental factors like how much you strain your eyes, how much you stress them out, expose them to sun, and blue light, all of these things play a long-term role. You won't see much of the side effects now, but after 15, 20, 30, 40 years, you will. And that's what the doctors never talk to you about. That's what they don't say. They'll use the word stabilize, and then you'll experience, 20 years of stress and strain and aging. And, you might have, you know, like for example, I was using skin products, moisturizing products that have retinol. Retinol is a derivative of vitamin A, which for Stargardt's patients, vitamin A is a huge no-no. And it's still controversial. There's no research or actual evidence-based research on whether skincare can contribute enough vitamin A into your system to impact Stargardt's patients. It is still recommended that you avoid it because we don't know. I have no idea if this contributed to more of my sight loss, my skincare routine. Who the hell knew? Who could have thought of that, right? And so it's all of these things that the doctors it's like they don't completely paint the full picture. And so by throwing the word around stabilize, it just set me up for this false expectation. And so when that expectation, I blew right past that and went well beyond 20 over 200, which is where they told me I would stabilize. And then when I stabilized at 20 over 400, I'm like, okay, I'm a little worse than they anticipated, but that's okay. I can deal with this. I thought that's where I was going to roughly be it for the rest of my life. And that is so not the case for me. Now, this is just my experience. This is just my personal journey with Stargardt's. It is in no way, um, something that is to give you any kind of red flags or indicators that that's going to be your experience by any means. But it's just my personal love-hate relationship with the word stabilize in a nutshell. So,
1:09 p.m. Page 6 of 6. 1:16 p.m. For me, it's gray area, and my brain tries to fill that area logically, but it keeps reading word face with 1:14 p.m. Reality. Again, another question. Don't answer if you don't feel comfortable. 6 periods. What does your blind spot look like? How? I find it so interesting how everybody's different.
you know, honestly, my blind spot, my brain compensates for so much, but I have zero central vision. And so now I literally only see on the sides. So most of the time, um, it's just nothingness. Um, it almost hurts to try to look at anything directly anymore. So when I try to focus on my blind spot, so like right now, my eyes aren't like centered anymore because the blind spots are kind of positioned a little bit differently as my disease had progressed. Like they used to be pretty equal. Each eye was kind of the same. And the blind spot kind of seemed like it was positioned in the same areas of my central vision. Um, but now that's not the case. My right eye is a lot better than my left, and so now my eyes don't center. I can't center them to look directly at anything anymore, and it hurts almost to do that now because my muscles aren't used to that placement anymore. And when you try to use, it's like when people try to look cross-eyed as a sighted person, if they try to like cross their eyes purposefully, it just feels wrong. That's how trying to make my eyes look normal again. That's sort of what that feels like now. And so I don't even know how to describe my blind spot anymore because it's just so vast. It's just big. I have nothing in the middle, and so now my eyes kind of jot around. It's like I've almost developed nystagmus a little bit, where your eyes kind of shake a little bit, and it's just me trying to use as much of my peripheral vision remaining um, to fill in as much of the blind spot as possible. And so my brain oftentimes, will try to piece the puzzle together. And yeah, I don't know. That's something that I'm actually trying to figure out myself because as I'm adjusting to this new sight loss, I kind of have to find new ways of describing it and communicating, verbally how I see and what it's like, and how I used to describe it is no longer accurate because I've experienced more sight loss, and so I'm still trying to figure that narrative out for me, um, and because it's different and it changes, and I don't know. I don't know if I did a good job or not.
1:16 p.m. For me, it's gray area, and my brain tried to fill that area logically, but it is really work faced with tears of joy.
Yep, that's about right. Um, And it's like my brain tunes it out already so much now that it's like I don't even realize there is a blind spot anymore. I just don't see. I don't know how to describe it.
1:16 p.m. Melody. Oh my god, thank you so much. I just no idea about the retinol. Wow.
Yeah, so I was going to do a TikTok about this too. Yeah, like I said, there is no evidence-based research to my knowledge as of yet. I'm not sure if they're doing any current research studies on this. Because it's really difficult to discern if the vitamin A your body has is absorbed through your diet or your skincare. Like, how do I don't know how they would determine that through a study or not, but a lot of low vision specialists are now recommending that Stargardt's patients do avoid retinols. And so, and especially the retin-A's, the dermatologist prescribed uh, face creams and such. Like if you have a rash or anything like that, if you're going to a dermatologist and they prescribe you any kind of topical, you definitely want to check the vitamin A present in that cream. And if you have a skincare routine, stick to the like collagen peptides, that kind of products, or just basic moisturizing hyaluronic acids. Those are all great. But retinol is all the raves now in skincare products for just aging and such. And retinol, yeah, that is, while they're not saying it's a strong no, they're saying, I don't know. So err on you want to veer more on caution here. So yeah, just food for thought, keep it in mind. If you notice any sight loss, it could be, and you're using a lot of retinol, you could maybe attribute it to that. We just don't know.
1:16 p.m. Melody. Oh my god, thank you so much. Page 7 of 7. 1:19 p.m. Melody. Thank you for being so open and honest about all of this. 1:19 p.m. Melody. Thank you for being so open and honest about all of this. I appreciate your help and advice in answering the questions. I know how hard it must be.
Oh no, it's not hard at all. I am an open book, and so all questions are welcome. They are all valid, and if I am not comfortable answering it, I usually know someone in the community that I can always reach out to and invite on the channel to speak on it. I'm not an expert by any means on a lot of subjects, and so that's why I love meeting people who um, are that I can invite on the channel to help any subscribers out there like you that have specific questions. And if I don't ever get it addressed, I always tell everyone, just keep asking, because I promise I'll get to it. Sometimes people ask questions and I forget to to come back to it and create or post something for it. And so I always tell everybody, like if you don't see it, it could be just because I got distracted. And so just keep asking your questions. And I promise I will find someone to address it. Or I will someone's already addressed it. Like I have a good friend. I love her channel. I will highly recommend her right now. Her name is Tamara. Her YouTube channel is called Unsightly Opinions. She's Canadian, fantastic, very professional, on point content that's relevant and very valid for our community. So she's another great resource that has content that is substantive, valued, and fact based. It's evidence based. So, yeah, go check her out. But I will always recommend other content if I find it. Um, if I find it reputable enough to recommend, I will also always do that as well.
1:19 p.m. Yeah, sometimes it's funny because you see things that are not there.
Yeah. Oh God, I see things that are not there all the time. Do you have the Charles Bonnet or Charles Bonnet syndrome? That's also extremely common for Stargardt's patients. Charles Bonnet is the visual hallucinations and such, and where you kind of like see some people describe them as flashes, spirals, lights, or some people even just see kind of phantom images kind of thing.
1:22 p.m. Carnegie, Vincent, 4, red. 1:21 p.m. The most dangerous is liver.
Yeah.
Page 7 of 7. 1:23 p.m. Please post for Chanel.
Huh. Are these products that you recommend? Please post Chanel. Are you talking about Chanel products?
1:21 p.m. The most dangerous is liver. 1:22 p.m. Carnegie, Vincent, 4, red.
I'm sorry, I'm confused by those last few
1:19 p.m.
comments.
Rounded, page 7 of 7. 1:24 p.m. Rounded B. How did you explain your sight loss to your kids? I have always told mine I have poorly eyes. I often feel guilty to learn or do things sooner than the norm, like staying close or responding.
Okay, great question. And I do have a video on this on my channel from about 2 years ago, like when I first started my channel, and it is the conversation of me explaining to she was 4 at the time. My daughter is now 6, and it. I wanted to record our conversation, one of many, about mommy's eyes, because she was starting to say mommy has bad eyes. And I didn't like that word. I didn't like just that negative connotation of bad eyes. My eyes aren't bad. They just don't work well. And that's okay. It's not bad that they don't work well. It's just how mommy's made. And so my son is just turned 4 a few weeks ago, so we will be having these conversations with him as well. And I do my best to just represent diversity in these. It's not just that only mommy's eyes don't work well, but lots of people have ears that don't work well. A lot of people have one leg, or a lot of people have one arm, or no arms, or no legs. A lot of people don't walk well. Some people have one leg longer than the other. I have an aunt with polio, has one leg longer than the other. Some people's spines don't work well, and so they might be hunched over or need a wheelchair and use different mobility aids. I don't censor my words, but I also am very careful to frame them in a way that is normalized and that is okay and doesn't have any of the negative connotations like the words bad eyes, or things like that. So I just say mommy's eyes don't work well or don't work at all right now. And I just gently correct them as much as I can with phrases like, mommy, it's over there. Or like, because they say that all the time now, mommy, it's over there. And they'll point. Sorry, kids, that mommy's eyes don't work well. Let's try not to point, be more specific. And so we have these conversations. It's about just having planting little seeds every learning opportunity that you can. Their attention spans when they're little are very, very short. So you're not going to have this big, long, complex conversation and one and done. No. Think of it as little seeds that you plant. Use consistent language. Think about it ahead of time. what language you are comfortable with, what you relate to, and how you want them to think and refer to you. So when they are saying, like when they're talking with your friends, do you want them to say, oh, my mommy or daddy, or oh, I have a blind mom, I have a blind dad? Or do you want them to say, oh, my mom, she's visually impaired? So what terms do you want to teach them that you relate to and feel comfortable with? That's a personal thing. Everyone has their own comfort level and words that they relate to. But it's important to teach your children which ones you prefer, and that it is a preference. And everyone, it's these little life lessons that isn't taught overnight, but just little seeds that we sow as they get older and older, and just keep that door open for them to ask questions, no matter how difficult it is. There's times when they've asked me a question about my eyes, and I've cried. They've asked me to, I can't tell you how many times my daughter has asked me to read a book to her at night because, she's mad at her dad, or her dad is busy working and doing something. And he is usually the one that reads them their bedtime stories. And I can't tell you how many times my daughter has asked me to read to her, and I can't because I can't see the pages. And so I'll make up a story. We'll adapt. I do other things, but still inside, I am dying inside because I would love more than anything to say, yes, honey, or yes, honey, mommy can paint your nails today. There's lots of little things I wish I could do with them that I can't, because I haven't figured out a workaround. And yeah, but those are important things. They're learning opportunities, and you just teach them as you go.
1:24 p.m. Round, page 7 of 7. 1:25 p.m. Round B. Subscribe to Untitled Opinions. Ellipsis. I will watch the videos for sure.
Cool. Thanks.
1:26 p.m. Fast screen. Hey, how do you spell coffee? 1:27 p.m. Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to start bringing it to an end. Hey, if you do subscribe to Tamara from Unsightly Opinions, let her know that I sent you over to her channel, so she knows I'm tooting her horn and showing her some love. So let her know where you got the recommendation. And yeah, guys, if you have any further questions, you are welcome to put them in the comment section. I promise I'll get to them. You can also check out my website. My website's usually listed in the description box of most of my videos the past month or two. Excuse me. And if you go there, you'll see there all the social media accounts and my direct TikTok account. And TikTok, I definitely post a lot of like just little short gold nuggets along the way. And if it's a question that I can easily address quickly, I might address it over there versus YouTube, because I usually do longer videos on YouTube. Other than that, my friends, thank you all so much for a wonderful chat, for showing up with me today and sitting here with me for my shit show day. And and you all have done a wonderful job cheering me up. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad we could help each other today. That's what community is all about. Am I right, my friends? So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'll catch you all Tuesdays and Thursdays around the lunch hour. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you know when I do go live, because it's kind of at a different time each Tuesday and Thursday. And this is also my family time as well, so I might have an appointment or something that I need to take care of, so we may not have one. But for the most part, Tuesdays and Thursdays, lunch time, let's chat, and I'll catch you at the next one. Blessings to you and yours.